that are possible, and the methods that are defined in the guidance documents, as they are non-binding, they are also non-specific, as well as having they are not legally enforceable, and therefore, again, just provide guidance to manufacturers. So why then publish a guidance document? And there's a couple of different areas and reasons for that. Anura spoke to some of the background, and we see a tremendous amount of cellular accessibility worldwide, and we pair that against a decreasing number of physician access. And so innovation, and many of you work in companies as well, recognizing the need for innovating around this area, this technology-enabling area. And there's been a tremendous amount of expansion in a number of mobile applications in healthcare and the wellness space. Over the last 2 years, the industry has had comment period and information being able to present back to the FDA, looking for guidance and what does it mean? What are these applications regulated? And so the guidance document has been published to help both industry determine what software applications that are intended to be used on mobile platforms really fall under the regulations, the Code of Federal Regulations in the United States, and to be very careful about clarifying what is included as a mobile medical application as a medical device and what it actually is not. And we spoke a little bit about the guidance document reflects the internal view of the current regulatory science. And so not only does this guidance provide information to manufacturers such as yourself, but also provides guidance to specific auditors of the FDA, and assures that we have applicable translation of the Code of Federal Regulations into this new technology space. The scope of the guideline looks at a very specific subset of mobile applications, very specifically software that is a medical device. We'll speak a little bit about how do we determine what a medical device is. The scope of the guideline also looks at accessories and software on mobile platforms that are used as an accessory to a regulated mobile device. And it also looks at mobile medical applications that transform a mobile platform into a regulated medical device. And so let's talk about some of these definitions. What's a mobile platform? Well, this consists of some commercial off-the-shelf type hardware, for example, smartphones, tablet computers, other portable computers, but that can also be things such as wearable technologies. And we begin to see more and more devices which can be worn on the body, while they may not be necessarily commercially off-the-shelf technologies. They may be specific technologies manufactured by manufacturers, but they're really intended to be purchased and by both clinicians as well as the public, and they specifically are computing platforms. So they can run software applications, everything from very simple user interface and signal generating type devices to very complicated user interface and graphical images. A mobile application then is that software application that runs on that mobile platform. So that would be the actual software program that's intended to be loaded on that tablet computer or that smartphone type device. It may also be a web-based software application. So when we think of mobile applications, we're not necessarily thinking of something that can be carried from room to room, but a mobile application can also be a software program which can be run on a computer, a laptop computer, or even a desktop computer within an office or clinician practice within a person's home. And it is in fact portable because it can be moved from one computing platform to the next. Mobile medical applications, therefore, are very specifically any medical app, any software that runs on a mobile platform that meets the definition in the Food and Drug and Cosmetic Act in Section 201H of the Code of Federal Regulations. So specifically, the language within the requirements say that a mobile medical app then is a medical device if it's used as an accessory to a regulated medical device or transforms that platform into a regulated medical device. And so what do we mean when we say medical device? Again, coming from the Code of Federal Regulations, which you can, in fact, if you have a lot of time on your hands, can access through the FDA .gov website. The Code of Federal Regulations is available to the public. And if you go into Section 201H, it specifically states that a medical device, some type of instrument, apparatus, machine, contrivance, has a lot of different words to describe something, an implementation, intended for use in the diagnosis of disease or in the cure, mitigation, treatment, or prevention of the disease in man, or if it's intended to affect the structure or function of the body in man or in other animals. So that definition is very specific in the United States. There are definitions from the regulations for Europe as well. Similar, not exactly the same. Our focus today is in the U.S. However, we have to be mindful that in different regions of the world, what defines a medical device may be a little bit different than that in the U.S. So given that we have this definition for a medical device, if we go back to the idea that I might have a mobile application, something that's running on a mobile platform that has some kind of wireless, possibly a connectivity, or some software that's running on a platform, it's not necessarily a mobile medical application. And we want to be very clear about that, because the first step in determining whether or not the regulatory requirements for mobile devices would apply to the application, the mobile app that would be under our consideration, is to first determine whether or not that mobile app meets the definition of a medical device. So first step in our understanding the regulatory landscape for mobile medical devices is to apply that definition. And again, guidance documents are available for the process of walking through that. So how do we start with that? The first thing that's important to understand for mobile medical application is what is its intended use. Intended use is communicated as, in essence, what is its clinical function or clinical claims. And these claims are available on the product labeling. And labeling includes, by definition for U.S. law, the labeling includes a number of different kinds of documents, presentations, oral communications, statements. So it would include not only the label, specific labels on the products, on the product packaging, information included in your user manuals, but also advertising materials, any training or sales promotion, or any statements that the manufacturer yourself or your sales and distribution representatives would make about the clinical use of the product. So being able to define and understand the intended use of the medical device is an important first step in determining whether or not you have a device which needs to meet the regulatory law within the United States. As a medical mobile manufacturer, it's the manufacturer's responsibility to first understand that. And we want to talk specifically about that definition as well, because the mobile medical application guideline is very specific and provides some type of exemptions for what is a mobile medical application. specifically per the Title 21 of the Code of Federal Regulations, anyone who initiates specifications, designs, labels, or creates a software system or application for a regulated medical device in whole or in part. So if you're a software development organization and you work along with a contract hardware and you actually do the design inputs, you define the product, the specifications, you actually do the coding and industrial design, you write the technical manuals. That may be one organization, that may be a collection of organizations, but that's included within the overall scope of a medical application manufacturer. But those parties that are excluded are very specific in this domain, and because we know that mobile applications, not only in medical but also in consumer and other applications, are distributed via stores like Google Play and the iTunes App Store. The FDA has been very specific to exclude those parties who exclusively distribute without engaging in any manufacturing functions. So what do we mean by that? Without designing, redesigning, relabeling, respecifying any of the application or the application's intended use, as we spoke about where the intended use resides. So, Anura, could you step back a little bit, please? Thank you. Well, third parties then who solely provide market access don't engage in manufacturing functions and therefore would not be a mobile medical application manufacturer. And that would include any of those providers of tools, services, or the infrastructure. For example, that would include internet service providers, manufacturers of general purpose computers for which I would use to download that application, customer support services, cloud hosting services, and examples like that where again it's a service that's providing that application without doing any kind of modification or what the FDA defines as design or manufacturing of the mobile application. So these kinds of companies are specifically excluded from the definition of being a mobile application. And there are a couple other different kinds of entities that are also excluded. So licensed practitioners who actually generate mobile applications specifically for use in their professional practice. Those folks who are not intending to label or promote that application and it's generally used in the practice itself are also exempt from being defined as a mobile medical application manufacturer, in addition to persons who manufacture apps solely for the use in research or teaching environments. We'll wait till we transition. So let's talk a little bit about what applications